This is a book review of Tigra, or Tigra, I'm not certain really how to say it. The Complete Collection, one of their Complete Collection. They bring out loads of these Marvels, so you've got stacks and stacks of, well, this is the Complete. Now, I'm not certain if it's complete. Probably other appearances that have not been included. However, it includes a lot. Doesn't include the Fantastic Four ones. I certainly know that she turned up in. I would have loved if they'd been included as well. Sadly, they're not. Now, this book came out in 2019. 424 pages, though I had to go and check to find out how many pages. So it does have page numbering for some of the book, then suddenly it stops. Why? However, it does have some good bonus material at the back. I love the bonus material. There's lots of lovely black and white, as well as some beautiful colour there, covers, and also lots of the pages, page art as well. Just beautiful. Now, it would have been brilliant if that had been full page, but you've got 4 to them, which is fine. And then some other additional material. So it's some decent one, but it's not a huge selection of bonus material. Now, what's included in here? Well, you got the Cat, issue 1 to 4, because she was originally the Cat. And then you got, of course, became the Hellcat, Patsy Walker. But you got Marvel Team Up 8. That was the final sort of the Cat. And then you got issue 67 as well. Giant Sized Creatures, issue 1. Marvel Chillers 3 to 7. You got Marvel 2-in-1 19, Marvel Premier 42, Tigra or Tigra 1 to 4, and you've also got material from Monsters Unleashed issue 10 and also Marvel Team Up 125. So a variety of different, and also here's the list of all of the people involved, and there's quite a few people that have worked on the thing. And you can see obviously the covers, it's got the covers of all the things. Sadly, it doesn't have a contents. I love books with contents because you can see you can see the page number and then you can just go to the page and it's straight away you can get to your favourite stories. However, it doesn't include that, which is a pity. I'm not certain why it doesn't. It just seems a big oversight. It would have been lovely also, the bonus material, if they'd included the Cat issue 5. Apparently there's some artwork of that. Would have been lovely if they'd included that, and maybe a bit more details about why it was cancelled, all those sort of things. Obviously sales probably weren't brilliant, but obviously they decided. She's one of those characters that sort of bounced around all over the place. You can see from going through the listings, but she never particularly, she had her own issue for 4 issues. That was it. So nowadays people give issues to everyone. So, but back then she struggled, but still, she's not the greatest of Marvel creations, but I thoroughly enjoy these stories. I must admit, I enjoyed them at the time, and just rereading all these stories, and actually reading for the first time some of them, I found very enjoyable. So I'm just going to run through the book now. So what's this about? Well, this is about Greer Grant Nelson. Originally the Cat, there's like 4 issues, well actually 5 if you count the Marvel Team Up, where she was the Cat, and then she becomes Tigra, the Werewoman, or Werewoman, whatever. The Cat stories were brilliant. I love those Cat stories. I would have loved that series to continue. Sadly, it only went to 4 issues. There was a 5th story apparently done, didn't come out, and, well, didn't have the best villains. That was probably the problem. She has a really useless evil genius at the start. That was the first book. And then you had the Man-Bull, Owl, Kraken. They weren't very good. But you got, of course, the Cat eventually become the Hellcat, of course. But that was Patsy Walker. This is not obviously the same person, but there was an initial story there. And this mad genius, as they always do, he wants to do it because he's set up a health farm and he's sort of developing, some sort of weird technology. Pretty daft story. And you've also got this much nicer scientist who helps Greer all the way through, and she turns up all the way through the book. So it's quite nice that in various conditions most of the time, sort of in and out, and it's well done for most of the book. I'd have to say that storyline. However, the Owl, not very good. I never liked the Owl. The Owl's a bit of a daft character, so that was a completely daft story. Wise. However, the next story I love because it's got Bill Everett artwork. Just superb. I love Bill Everett's artwork. Always brilliant. Now, of course, wasn't actually, let's be fair, it was Patty Greer. Very unusual. Greer as well for the name, but Patty Greer. And you've got Bill Everett there with the inks. But you always can tell straight away as soon as he works, obviously you've got the inks, it's his work. However, quite a few of the characters end up looking like Submariner, which is very odd. You've got a character there, just looks like Submariner. Look at him there. That could easily be the Submariner. He's just put a wig on. He's called himself the Kraken. He's really Submariner. He's just having a bit of fun with you. Maybe with his obviously hook. However, you've got the story Man Bull next, and that was it. No issue 5, sadly. There was apparently one created, but never come out. I've seen some, I think it was in like back issue or something. I think the back issue had a couple of pages of it. And you've got Man Killer. And that was in the Marvel team up. As always with this is a Spider-Man story, of course, but you always have the usual battle between the heroes at the first time they meet. It's a good story, very enjoyable. And then on to the next one. And this is Giant-Sized Creatures featuring a werewolf by night. And of course, we finally get to the character of the title of the book, a werewoman, or werewoman, whatever. And you got, of course, you can see from that, Hydra! Good old Hydra. Hydra's always turn out. At least it wasn't AIM. Good old AIM. You virtually guarantee AIM. They get beaten but very easily. But this is a real good story, actually. Yeah, I love that. Tony Isabella. And it's got a daft story with cat people storyline. It's a bit like the film, I think, but they didn't go that far in the film with actual. We obviously got the sailors, all that sort of stuff, or well, not Salem, but the that period of time. So, though weirdly, there's a bit of an ultimate weapon storyline that comes into it, and also some chemicals involved, mystical, etc., etc., and she can turn back for a bit and then not, and so on and so on. I don't know if she, though. Obviously, the later stories, she does actually turn up, but for most of it, she's always, of course, Tigra or Tigra. However, on to the next story. This one's daft, but quite funny, actually, in quite an unusual way. Very well drawn. I love the black and white artwork. This is Monsters Unleashed. Brilliant cover. And you've got superb artwork all the way through. But you've got this rat person, and it's a sort of like, sort of story. I felt like it was a bit like it was a film that I've seen recently that's very similar. So, however, now we go on to Marvel Chillers featuring, and this is the first real issue, her number 1 basically, Pound Bam Ring premiere issue as always. So you've got a lovely first page there, and on to this. I can never say that name. You've got Will Mergniot and Frank Chiaramonte. My apologies if I said their name wrong. The Three Faces of Tigra. And again, you've got another summing up. They did this all the time, just to summing up how she turns over. There's quite often I've been flicking through another scene where she shows how she starts. But it's a good story, and also it's got the Red Wolf in it as well, which is quite nice. And then on to the next story with Kraven. And there's some really lovely, actually an artist that I always quote, Frank Robbins. I always enjoyed Frank Robbins. So you got there, nice as a huntress. Real good yarn, and all the way through. There's a lovely twist at the end of that, and I'm not going to say the twist. That would totally ruin it. On to the next story. Claws of the Cougar. Well, okay, that was not a great story. It was a bit silly, daft, and it features as part of the storyline that I really just don't like. The High Evolutionary. Not a favourite character of mine, but anyway. So you got, sorry if that was a spoiler, that's it, but it's not much of a spoiler. It's a sort of non-story, frankly. One of my least favourite in the book. Then on to Marvel Team Up. This is excellent. It was a big surprise, actually. I was not expecting, but a good old John Byrne. I love John Byrne. Brilliant bit of artwork. And a good story again with good old Kraven. Kraven turns up again, of course. You got Spider-Man, so why not put Kraven into the story as well? And then you got Marvel Premiere. She bounced around all over the place. They really didn't seem to know what they were doing with her. She was like, was she going to be a horror character? Because you've got the earlier stories. There's a sort of feel with the Rat one. That was a sort of, but they were the black and white. Whereas the other ones were more like standard Marvel comics. And you've got this one where, which was slightly disappointing. This storyline, the cat race story. it was interesting in an odd kind of way. The artwork was fine, but it was just, I was slightly annoyed with it, actually, for a certain reason in it that just sort of bugged me. I thought, oh, really? No, that wasn't good. However, so after that storyline, you got Marvel Team Up. Again, quite a bit of a gap before she turned up again, obviously 60 odd issues. And you've got this one starring the Amazing Spider-Man yesterday and today. She's doing, now, at this point, she's doing adverts for burger companies. That's quite good as well. It's actually good because it brings back a certain character in the storyline that's really nice, sort of nice conclusion to a storyline. And also that was a good story as well. So it was a nice sort of split one, that one, because you actually had 2 issues in that. 2 stories, I should say. You got the Scarlet Witch and obviously Doctor Strange. And I thoroughly enjoyed reading that recently. I read the Scarlet Witch one with that story. Then on to the next one. And the artwork is completely different. This one is Icons 1 of 4. And it so totally changes. You've obviously got the back there. You can see the colour scheme. The colours really change. Really, and the artwork is superb. The storyline, it's okay. It's police involved, various involvement organisations and things. It was brilliant, sort of, but very dark and very all set obviously at night and that sort of stuff. Obviously a lot of dark scenes there. But really quite well artwork all the way through. And it's quite good because it also resolves some other storyline as well, which is really nice. And that's it. So that was 4 issues. I had 4 issues of that storyline. Some really good artwork. But again, the story, it was fine, but it was, all resolved. And it turned, now I'm not certain if that was it for the story. It says obviously the complete collection. I don't know any more stories. If she turned up in other stories, no idea. Must check out. But at this point, no idea. So I don't know if there's going to be a volume 2 or anything like that. Who knows? But it has got, like I say, some bonus material at the back. Really nice bonus material. And, well, I really enjoyed the collection. Is it at the first-rate, highest level of Marvel? Probably not. But for good, decent stories, for an unusual character, and I think a lot more potential than they actually put into this. And they could have done more with this character. I think there was a good development at the end of the whole book that would have made an interesting storyline. But sadly, they might have done some more with that storyline, but I don't suspect they wouldn't have done. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a good read. Maybe not everyone's sort of favourite. It's sort of ones. Someone put a comment saying one for Marvel historians, which is probably right actually in some ways. But personally, I enjoyed it. So totally recommended.